Here at the UFormation, we like to keep up with our NFL history. So, fellas, I'm going to take us back to the world of 1986. Lawrence Taylor won Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. The Giants won the Super Bowl. Even the Mets were good. Can you believe it? They're not good this year. But one other thing that happened in 1986, the New York Jets, yes, the Jets, had an all-pro wide receiver by the name of Al Toon. And I think they'll have one this year. Fellas, Garrett Wilson will be an all-pro first-team wide receiver. Debate.
As much as I would love for you to be right, clearly, as you can see behind me, I would love nothing more for you to be right, Ryan. But if I'm being fair, taking off the green shades, the green goggles, putting down my green heart, I think you're going to be wrong by a landslide. And that's breaking my heart to say it as I say it. Part of it is obviously the Justin Fields factor. I think a lot of people think they know what he is. I think we have a pretty good idea what the Jets offense is going to be, like, their identity. I know we like to throw on that word. Do I think Garrett Wilson will still find his way to 1,000 yards? Yes, because he always does. He had the, legends like the name is even evading me now. Who's the guy who threw the pick six against Miami the other way last year? It was on the Halloween game.
Oh. Was that wasn't Zach, was it? Was it?
No, that wasn't
Simeon?
It wasn't Trevor Simeon. So he's had names like this. That is my point. And he's always Mike White, the legend of Mike White, the corpse.
He threw for 400 yards in the game.
Yeah, the legend of Mike White, the corpse of Aaron Rodgers, the legend of Zach Wilson. He's always found his way to 1,000. So he find his way to 1,000 by hook or crook? Yes. The Jets are going to run through Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, Isaiah Davis, and Justin Fields' legs. So when we talk about all pro, we talk about like the Justin Jeffersons. We talk about the
Jamar Chase,
Amon-Ra Brown. Yes, we talk about all those guys. We talk about 1,400 yards, 10 plus touchdowns, game winners, double bracketed and still scoring 2 touchdowns a game. I don't think this offense is set up this year to win that way. I have my doubts about Justin Fields still, naturally. Yeah, I think Mason Taylor is going to eat a lot when it comes to Justin Fields. I think the running games are going to eat. I think Garrett Wilson will still get his yards. I think they'll be manufactured, a lot of them, jet sweeps. There'll be the occasional deep ball that Justin Fields will hopefully hit. And like I said, I think, Garrett Wilson will still have 1,000 yards. I'm knocking on all the wood in my office here because, injury aside, plays a full 17 games. He's going to have games where he does go over 100 yards and maybe have a touchdown or 2. I just don't think he's going to eclipse. If Garrett Wilson hits 10 touchdowns this year, it'll be a small miracle in my eyes. It'll be a small miracle just based on how the offense is set up.
Okay. Kwasi, let's hear it.
I think the way that I always look at these things is like, in order for him to be an all-pro, for example, you need to replace someone, right? So we have our names like Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, who, as a Lions fan, biased, but he's not coming off that list. God willing, anyway. But like, here's hoping. And then like Justin Jefferson, like you have to be able to replace a name in order to get him on there. I think that's the part where it's like the only name that's on there. It's like, I know like there's something going on with Terry McLaurin right now. It's like, does he or doesn't he want to be in Washington right now? Does he want to trade? He's going to end up. I always feel like when someone like requests a trade, like more often than not, like they're starting to like be on like a really fast decline. And then like now there's not going to be as good like as they were like the season before, let's say. So if you were to replace him, could he end up on this? I could see it, but I just don't think it's likely. I think there's other names. I think there's like at least like, or assuming that Terry stays, then there's like you could have the same exact team that you have right now, like all pro first and second team. Like I don't really think there's a world where he could be able to replace one of those like 6 guys and get to that spot. Now, I also think that a lot of this, as like Vijay was alluding to, it does hinge on Justin Fields. If Justin Fields is not able to get Garrett Wilson the ball, not only we're going to have a very angry, upset Garrett Wilson, but he can't make an all-pro team. So it's just going to be mostly about, can he do that? Can Justin Fields help his wide receiver out, help him?
Don't get me wrong. I am a Garrett Wilson guy. I got the autograph and everything. I am like, Draft night, I was jumping up and down, but all pro. Like I said, I wish Ryan would be right, but I just don't see it.
That's what I do. I hope it happens just for Vijay's sake. Who knows where it will take the Jets to? Like, I don't have any disdain. Like, I grew up in a very Jets household. I just was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a Lions fan. I like things that aren't fun. But like for me, it's just like
up till recently, you did pick Payne as well, though. Up until
that's exactly. But it's like I'm saying, it's just like. But for me though, it's like like at the end of the day, like I say, like someone's name has to come off in order to be able to put his name on. I don't really see a name that could potentially come off of that like all pro team to be able to get him on there.
Yeah, these are fair points, and I will say this is I do think it's out there. Garrett is an awesome receiver. He's one of the 12 or 15 best in the game, and I think he's of a caliber that it's in the cards. He could have a season with 1,500 yards and just pops up as an All-Pro. There are two players in the last 20 years that I have in my sights, if you will. 2005, Steve Smith with the Panthers, and 2023, DJ Moore with the Bears. Who was DJ Moore's quarterback? Justin Fields. DJ Moore had over 1,300 yards. This ended up being a 7-10 Bears team, but a 1,300-yard season from DJ Moore, and he looked every bit of that. He was a special player that year. He didn't end up getting All-Pro consideration or Pro Bowl consideration, but he did have 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns in a Justin Fields quarterbacked offense. And going back to 2005, Steve Smith won the receiving triple crown in a team that didn't really throw the ball a lot. And Steve Smith had 1,000 more receiving yards than any other option. Super Bowl legend Ricky Prohl, actually with 2 teams, one was the number 2 receiver on that team. Steve Smith, 103 catches, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Now, I'm not saying Garrett's going to win the triple crown or anything, but he is the number 1 target. He is reuniting with Justin Fields, who was his quarterback in 2020, and he was the wide receiver 1 on the 2020 Buckeyes team that lost the national championship game.
Fair enough.
Well, he and Olave were 6 yards apart. Fair enough. They were 6 yards apart. Olave had 729 yards. Garrett Wilson had 723 yards. Okay. Whatever it may be. I think Garrett will be force-fed. He will lead the NFL in targets. He will get 10 targets a game. There's no reason for him not to get 10 targets a game. Are you throwing to Alan Lazard? Please don't. It is 2025. We have moved past, with all due respect, unless you are running the football, there is no need for Alan Lazard on an NFL field. Are you throwing the ball to Josh Reynolds? Please be serious. Please be serious. You are going to throw the ball to Garrett Wilson, and you are going to prosper because Garrett Wilson is a top 15 receiver, and he will prove to be this year a top 10, if not higher receiver. I think he'll catch 100 balls. I think he'll have his career high is 1,100 yards. I think he'll have closer to that 13, 14, 1,500 yard season. He had 100 catches for 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns with geriatric Aaron Rodgers last season. With 154 targets. In 2023, I'm just going to read off the Jets quarterbacks. Keep in mind, Garrett Wilson had 168 targets. 168 targets. Led the team by a mile. He only had 1,000 yards, I will say that. But I do think Justin Fields is going to be better than Zach Wilson, Trevor Siemian, Aaron Rodgers for 4 snaps, and Tim Boyle.
Tim Boyle. That was the name I was looking for. That's the one.
Are we being serious, Jets? Listen, Justin Fields has his flaws, but he throws it to the wide receiver 1. We saw that in 2023 with DJ Moore. And Garrett, unlike like a Darnell Mooney, who really struggled with Fields, and he was the receiver too, but he really struggled with Fields. Garrett is an intermediate guy, a short intermediate guy, and those are easier passes to complete. Yeah, he'll have the occasional deep ball, and yeah, Justin Fields can sling it, but that's when you make him mad, right? That's when you miss Garrett and when he's wide open sprinting down the field. We don't want that. We want a bunch of touches. Garrett, make a man miss in space, slants, screens, bubbles, curls, hitches, these sort of, the Michael Thomas route tree, the Amon-Ra St. Brown route tree, some of what Puka does. Just pepper him there.
Eat in the slot.
Yeah. I'd love it. Just plug him into the slot. We've seen him have huge workloads before. He has 279 career catches already. He's had 1,000 yards 3 times, 1,100 yards twice. I bumped those numbers up. I think it's in play. Again, last year, 1,100 yards. Yes, with Aaron Rodgers, fair enough. Couple extra targets a game. So if he's averaging 11 yards a game or 11 yards a catch, an extra catch a game, extra 2 catches a game, extra 340 yards. Okay, that puts him at 1,450 yards. I think that's firmly an all-pro consideration. A couple extra touchdowns. He's the number one receiver, that number one option in the passing game. Garrett Wilson, Jets, all-pro.
From
Before
Splash's lips to God's ears. From your lips to God's ears, Splash. I would love
Let's
nothing
go.
more for you to be right and me be wrong. I'd rather be wrong in this scenario. Trust me.
I think this is like part of like this question for me. It's like I just have like the all pro team right here. So like I remember like the first team, like Chase, Jefferson, Amon Ra, but like I kind of like forgot who was on the second team. So I like will just went and like have it up now. Like Terry made the team, CJ Lamb, and then AJ Brown. So I guess like my question for you, Splash, would be like of those like all 6 names if you want, like who
Sure.
doesn't get on, so then Garrett Wilson could get on next.
All right. I think Washington is in for some regression. I don't think Terry is legitimately a top 6 receiver. I think that was a big touchdown outlier season. I think we can throw him out. Justin Jefferson is dealing with a different quarterback. I think they will run the ball a lot. JJ McCarthy, the biggest strength is the great handoffs and the really smart, and they're going to run the ball. Aaron Jones, they beef up the offensive line. They get basically the entire Colts offensive line. You draft a guy in the first round. You get a Darisaw back. You have Brian O'Neill. I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more. You tone down J.J. McCarthy. You tone down Justin Jefferson. He's still going to be awesome. He's still going to be a Pro Bowler. I'm not dumb or anything, but you tone down his production a little bit. I think Garrett can have more yards than him. And we have this, the running joke on Twitter is every year Justin Jefferson is in wide receiver 1 debates with a different receiver. Maybe this year it's Garrett Wilson. Last year or this year, Chase is elevated. The last couple of years, CeeDee Lamb has been elevated. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been elevated. AJ Brown has been elevated. Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown one year. He got elevated. So I think it's very much in the cards that, JJ falls to All-Pro 2. I don't think Chase wins the Triple Crown again, right? Chase, this is the first time he had been All-Pro 1. That's sometimes we forget with the all-time great receivers that he hadn't even been All-Pro 2 the 2 years prior. So if we were having this conversation last year and I said, yeah, Jamar Chase, he's going to add 500 yards of production and he's going to be an All-Pro 1, that would kind of be shocking. And then he actually went out and did that. And I mean, Chase is a great player and Chase is a better receiver than Garrett, but I think Garrett is in that realm, in the Terry realm, that, that 6 to 15, Drake London's in this realm, Mike Evans is in this realm. All it takes is a couple extra catches and it's a 1,400-yard season with 10 touchdowns or a 1,500-yard season with 12 touchdowns, something like that. I think Garrett is a caliber of receiver that is on the table for him to do that. I'm not saying that, Joe Schmo. I'm not saying that Tutu Atwell is going to have 1,500 yards. Sorry.
Right.
Maybe Devontae Adams, maybe Puka in that offense, but I think I'm casting far enough down the receiver board that it's a hot take or a bold take. Like if I bet this on FanDuel, I would make some money on it, but not far enough down that I'm like, just hoping on a prayer. It's not like Alan Lazard All-Pro or, Parker Washington All-Pro or, someone, wide receiver 70. Right? This is wide receiver 10, wide receiver 12, something like that.
Garrett is definitely no further down the list than 15 on a good year. And that's what Tim Boyle and all those names that made my ears bleed just now. So like preface it all by saying I hope to dear football God that Splash is right about this Garrett Wilson take. I just find those other receivers on that list that we're mentioning might be minus Justin Jefferson because we don't know what JJ McCarthy is going to be, what he is. I mean, we think Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof, which Garrett has proven to be to a lesser degree. I just find that list of receivers that Kwasi just mentioned as well too. Their quarterbacks have a lot less question marks, minus Justin Jefferson, than what we have.
That's fair.
I would love nothing more than Justin Fields to be the second coming of Baker Mayfield, or Sam last year with Sam
or Geno.
Or Geno. Another Jets legend. Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
I do wonder if Amon-Ra takes a sort of step back in a new offense, and I'm not saying like he's a bum or anything, but steps back from being All-Pro 1 to being, All-Pro 2, or being just a Pro Bowler, or just being like just your standard 1,000-yard receiver.
Right.
I think that's on the table. There's always some fluctuations, and the best players aren't always the best players the next season. You look at All-Pro list from 23 to All-Pro list 24. I'm not predicting injuries. That is rude. But let's say someone gets a gambling suspension. They pull a Calvin Ridley. They get a
Right.
gambling suspension. Or
They're out
they,
3 games. They're out 4 games.
something like that.
Yeah,
they get a
right.
gambling suspension. That's my injury stand-in.
Yeah, there you
Okay, then all of a sudden that's a name out of the group, right? Nico Collins missed some time last year. He's an awesome receiver. He's in this conversation of being one of the best in the NFL and all pro in all pro consideration. He missed 5 games, right? Puka missed even more than 5 games. He missed 6 or 7 games. He still had 1,000 yards, but when you're Justin Jefferson had a year that he missed 7 games, still had 1,000 yards, but there's like I think Garrett is in a group that could be an all-pro level player.
Which is definitely not a crazy thing, like you said. You're not predicting Alan Lazard to be here this year, or like Alan Parker or whatever, So I just, and the other factor of this too is the run game, which is a given. And I just feel like Mason Taylor and Breece Hall in the passing game they're going to get a lot more targets than I think people are alluding to at the moment. I think because Fields likes the DJ Moore year aside, Fields loves his tight ends.
Cole Kmet did eat.
Yeah, Cole Kmet, and then him and Taylor already have a pretty good connection. It's training camp, a la training camp. And I think Breece Hall is going to be used a lot more. Aaron Glenn has gone on to say as much. They're going to use Breece Hall as a receiver. So that's going to naturally take away targets from Garrett, who's going to be double bracketed every game. Let's just call it for what it is. And I don't know how good Fields is going to be to look that way and be able to place that ball into double coverage consistently enough where he's not going to maybe start checking it down a bunch more, or tucking it and running it. It's the Fields factor to me is, yes, they were college teammates. I don't know if that chemistry is going to pick up right where it left off. There's mixed reviews out of training camp, of course.
For sure.
And like I said, Ryan, if you are right, I will eat the L with a big smile on my face, because that means that there's at least other guys eating on this offense too. If Garrett's still being double bracketed every game too, and being all pro, I can't see it. My heart can see it, but my brain can't.
Fair enough. All right, Kwasi, you gave us a take. We had a little pre-show planning the other day. Certain one of us is really high on the Cardinals, but you have a different team. You have the 49ers making the playoffs. Defend your turf.
Well, here's what I say. Obviously, last season was nowhere near a good one for the entire team at all. Bottom of their division in a really, really weird year that's just like filled with off of a Super Bowl loss, just injuries, and is Christian McCaffrey or is not Christian McCaffrey going to ever play football? We'll see. I guess we don't know. Is Brock Purdy still going to be an X type of quarterback? There were so many questions surrounding the team. That plus all the injuries that took place throughout their entire season, and all the contract talks that were going on with Debo and stuff like that, Brandon Ayuk being hey, I don't want to be a number 2, I want to be a number 1, things like that. It's just it was a really, really messy season. And now I think that all that stuff mostly being in the past now, I think that when you look at the rest of that division, the only team that I can see the 49ers just not being able to hold a candle to is really the Rams. I feel each other team has either a quarterback question or a coaching question, or just a surrounding pieces question. Even when you look at the Rams, we don't know if Matthew Stafford, we don't know what's going on. No one knows. Is he going to be ready for week 1? Is he ever going to he's going to play for the season? No one knows genuinely the answer to these questions. And even though we know the Rams have all the talent that they could most likely need to win that division, we still don't know what's going to go on with Matt. So that becomes a whole different conversation. When you look at the Seahawks, it's okay, we have a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. Are you going to get rookie year mono Sam Darnold, where he's just missing time? Or
you guys are killing me this morning. You guys are killing me today. All the old Jets folklore.
Are you gonna get this Sam Darnold that we just saw this past season, where it's wow, this guy could really have a really solid career in the NFL? We just don't know. Even though Sam Darnold showed us so much last season, it's we don't know what version of him we're gonna get. And even though he has some decent people over there, they have Cooper Kupp now. We all know that the Seahawks are a decent team, especially defensively. But it's we just don't know how good is that team going to be. Arizona have similar, exactly right, and it's and Arizona have similar questions too. It's just Kyler Murray. It's we were talking during that pre-show that we were doing. It's I thought like it still feels like he just came to the league, but we're at year like 7 or 8. And like he just has shown like almost like no progressions. Like how much time are we gonna give him before like like we're able to say like, hey, like you can be an elite quarterback one day. Like I don't think he's ever gonna be in that conversation. So now it's like, all right, we're relying on Kyler Murray to have like a really, really good season in order to lead this team like to a winning record and then like make the playoffs. I feel like the 49ers, what they have, even though like there's some question marks, like especially like all the rookies that they just drafted and stuff like that, and all like the new pieces that they have acquired, and like all the people that left for other teams and stuff like that. It's a Shanahan offense. It's like the entire team. Like Robert Saleh's back in town. We have all these things that are all going on that are just like,
All
hey,
gas, no break.
like the like like the boys are back in town. It's like at the end of the day, it's like I say, it's just like I do think that this team is not going to be nearly as bad as they were last year. And in a division that's filled with like so many question marks and like so many things where it's just like you don't know. I feel like the one constant besides like Sean McVay and the Rams is that 49ers team. I feel like that's a team that's like, hey, we know what Brock Purdy can do. We know that like if Brandon Ayuk is like healthy, like he could be like a decent receiver. We know that like his in this system that Kyle Shanahan runs, like anyone could do almost anything. Like these guys are able to just like he could plug in this piece, plug in that piece, and then it's like boom, you're serviceable. Like defensively, there is like a huge question mark, but we still have Fred Warner. You still have Nick Bosa. Like you still have George Kittle. It's like these are guys that like have been there and done it. I don't see them missing the playoffs back to back years in a row. Like I'm not gonna say that they're gonna win the division because I don't personally like believe that, but I wouldn't be surprised either. But I do think that they're gonna make the playoffs.
I think the 49ers have the highest likelihood of finishing in any spot of the division as any as much as any team in the NFL. Like if you're doing like a simulation, right? And you're doing like 2 coin flips, right? So you flip heads once, heads twice, that's 25%, heads, then tails, tails and heads, tails, tails. So 25%. As far as I'm concerned, the 49ers are that 25% to finish any spot. They could finish first, I wouldn't be surprised. They could finish second, third, fourth, I wouldn't be surprised. That said, I'm leaning, I disagree, Kwasi. I think the 49ers are the not worst team in the division. I think they're the most. I'm going to pick them to finish fourth. That's how I'm going to word it. I have major questions about their defense. I don't question the offense. If we are, ranking units, every team's offense, every team's defense, I think they are probably the second most reliable offense. I think Seattle is going to have one heck of a defense. So I would take Seattle's defense 1, then the 49ers offense 2, and then Rams offense, assuming Stafford's healthy, Rams offense 3. They're working in some new pieces. They have a new offensive line or some new pieces along the offensive line. But the worst unit to me is San Francisco's defense. You are asking 3 rookies to fix your run defense. You are asking Mykel Williams, your first-round pick, to fix the run defense. You are asking C.J. West, your fourth-round pick, to fix the run defense. And you are asking Alfred Collins, the second-round pick, to fix the run defense. Jordan Elliott was not a particularly good player in Cleveland. You're asking him to fix the run defense. And this is a situation, much like Dallas, ironically enough, that I think a certain kind of team will be able to come into Santa Clara or invite the 49ers across the country and say, hello, we are coming through your door over and over and over again. And we are not going to be stopped. It's as simple as that. We're not going to be stopped. This is a team that last year, the yards per carry ended up being okay. They were middle of the pack in yards per carry, middle of the pack in rushing yards allowed. But when they did allow rushing yards, it was in like key spots. Week 1, they allow 100 yards to Minnesota. Week 2, week 3 against the Rams, 137 yards. Week 5 to Arizona, 153 yards. They allowed over 100 yards to the Chiefs. I was running in the backfield for the Chiefs. What are we doing? The Seahawks ran for 131 yards. The Bills ran for 153 yards in the snow. Josh Allen and co. I'm reading off San Francisco's yards. My bad. Buffalo ran for 220 yards in the snow. The Chiefs ran for 184 yards. Yes, the Chiefs. The Cardinals, 169 yards in the first time they played, 151 yards the second time. Lions, 152 yards.
Added numbers here.
Yeah, Dolphins, 166. Yeah. Packers, 169. Like, yes, they had a couple games they played fine. 52 yards against the Seahawks the first time. Dallas 56 yards, the Bears 68 yards. Yeah, when they were able to take a lead and the offense was cooking, they had over 450 yards against the Bears. Great. Then the defense, then you're just not running the ball as much. But like they were getting annihilated on the ground. Arizona did sweep them. They had 150 yards rushing in both games. Seattle kind of wasn't doing a whole lot. I will say that the Rams had 142 yards in one game. The Lions, like I said, over 150 yards. Miami, the inept Miami Dolphins, ran for 166 yards against your bozo franchise. Achane had 120 yards, right? And 49ers legends Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert also got in on the action. And this was a team that hemorrhaged rushing yards, and I don't think 3 rookies are going to help that as much as we want it to. I got burned by Mozzie Smith. I said, oh, Mozzie Smith, Dallas has fixed their run defense. Nope. Dallas's run defense stinks. The 49ers allowed 24 rushing touchdowns last year. That's bottom 5 in the league. I think this is going to be another year that they just get run on. I know bringing Robert Saleh back is nice. This is not a team that is as talented as the 2019 49ers defense. That team also had Travarius Ward, also had the DeForest Buckner. They were just a stacked team. They had Pro Bowlers, all pros at feels like every position defensively. And now it's yes, you have Warner, yes, you have Bosa. But on that defense, you had Armstead, he's in Jacksonville. Buckner, he's in Indianapolis. Richard Sherman, boundary corner, he's going to be in Canton soon. Jimmy Ward, he's in Houston. I don't know what's going on there. Jaquiski Tartt, he's a solid player. Drake Greenlaw, he's in Denver now. This was before they drafted Hufanga, but Hufanga in recent years has been a great player for them. Emmanuel Mosley, he's not there. Quan Alexander, K'Wan Williams, Akella Witherspoon, they're not in town anymore. Aziz Al-Shire, he's a top 25 linebacker, but he's in Houston. Solomon Thomas, Jets bust. Sorry, Vijay. But yeah, it
was a good Saturday.
The depth of talent is no longer there. I have my issues, and I think their defense is going to get annihilated. I think Arizona is going to run their funky scheme. James Conner is going to run for 100 yards both games. Seattle, I think they're going to try to figure out something. You have K9, you have Charbonnet, the hammer and the nail there, 100 yards. Kyron Williams, Mr. Block it for 5, gain 5 yards, Mr. 0 yards over expectation. Yeah, Kyron Williams, figure it out. I think that's a major issue. The passing offense, I like it. McCaffrey healthy, I like it. Kittle, great. Offensive line, you know what? Fine. You get Pooney at right guard, their first third-round pick, their first halfway decent third-round pick since Fred Warner, believe it or not. These are some bad picks. We should do a whole video on that. Like 2019 through 2023.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they lit their picks on fire. They were more likely to draft a player who did not play an NFL snap than they were to draft a starter.
Man.
A 1 year. I'm not talking about like a high level starter. I'm talking like a guy who is consistently starting games. He could be a Brandon Stevens, get burnt all the time. Sorry, Vijay. But yeah, they just whiffed on a bunch of picks.
Baltimore legend, Brandon Stevens.
Yes. Oh man. Jets fans, watch out. So yeah, I just don't think San Francisco is a great matchup. I think Arizona, LA, and Seattle match up very well with them in recent years. Yeah, San Francisco is great at bottling up those teams, but McVay has changed around his scheme. They run a lot more gap. They run a lot more power. They run a lot more of these north and south run concepts. They have diverted from the Shanahan sort of the run, the outside zone, what Detroit runs all the time, what Atlanta runs all the time, what San Francisco, of course, runs all the time. So if you're a Shanahan scheme, you're running outside zone and that one cut, that classic Terrell Davis, what McCaffrey does so well. You put your footing, you're flowing left, you're flowing right, you put your foot in the ground, you cut back, and you have 6 lanes to choose. You pick the right one, bing, right, and then you structure your passing offense off that with the play action boot, and Brock Purdy is great at that. The Rams said, well, Kyron Williams isn't a burner, and he doesn't have the best tools to be a zone runner. And Matthew Stafford is approximately 80 years old. We don't necessarily want him running around, So when we do play action, it's just going to be straight back. So that makes it a little bit more difficult for the offensive line at times. But you are getting into your run action very fast. You are able to get downhill blocks with your offensive line. Maybe Willie Lampkin, North Carolina legend, can slot right in on the interior there and move some guys off the ball, but they will do the pin and pull, like just beat you, beat you, beat you. And I think Arizona does a lot of the same things. Seattle does a lot of the same things. And I'm concerned about the San Francisco run defense.
Yeah, sorry, Kwasi. I don't have to agree with Splash 100%. And I'll just tie a bone because I really can't add much to what you just said, Ryan. But I'll take a shot at the Jets guy because that's the theme today. Robert Saleh will play his defense as if he still has those horses that Ryan just mentioned. Because I experienced that firsthand the last 2 years. Ulbrich gets all the hate for that defense, how it's run. That was Saleh's defense. Let's run it like we still have 4 Quinton Williams up front. When we don't, we have a Michael Clemens and we have 1 Quinton Williams. And San Fran fans are going to find out really quick. I think when I say quick, about 2 or 3 games in, that we're running the same 4-3 defense, and there's only Nick Bosa on the edge, the 3 rookies that Ryan just mentioned, and Fred Warner in the back, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, Bryce Huff, another Jets legend.
Yeah.
Unironically, Jets legend. He's awesome with the Jets.
Yeah, he was awesome with the Jets, yes. People are going to run at San Fran. They're going to run up the middle. And I don't know if Brock Purdy's going to be able to score you 20 points consistently every game where teams are going to have to abandon the run. I don't know if Kittle's going to be on the field long enough. Debo's gone now. And I know people are saying Debo's already shelled himself. Debo's not there anymore. Depending on what you feel about Ricky Pearsall, not tragic, but crazy injury aside, what he suffered in the beginning of his career, all that aside, just as a player now, I don't know if he's going to be worth a first-round pick. And after that, they're a very top-heavy team. So I don't know if they're going to be complimentary to begin with. And Robert Saleh he's going to run that 4-3. He's going to give up 8 yards a clip, and he's still going to run the 4-3. And, you're going to see some blow-ups of him and Nick Bosa probably on the side. There's a hot take prediction right there. I just think it's going to be uglier than it was last year, just because I saw firsthand what their DC is going to do. He's going to not divert. Their system is going to mask their talent, and maybe they'll switch it up. Maybe Shanahan will step in and say, "Hey, listen, we can't do this anymore." But that defense is going to be their downfall.
They had a good offense last year. They were 13th in scoring, 4th in yards per pass, 7th in yards per rush, even without McCaffrey. It was the defense that really let them down. I don't have any questions with Kyle Shanahan. I don't. He will make it. He will make it with regardless of the quarterback. I think he'll win games either with Purdy or with Proc Birdie. Yeah, sure, he'll win some games. But this is a defense that couldn't stop a nosebleed, bottom 10 in third down percentage, and I think there will be a lot of third and shorts, and there will be a lot of times that it'll be 3rd and 3 and they can't get off the field, and it'll be 3rd and 4 and they can't get off the field. It'll be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. If they were to play Philly, I think they're getting boat raced. And like Seattle, great rushing attack. Arizona, great rushing attack. Rams, great rushing attack. Bucks, you have Bucky Irving. It's not exactly the best rushing attack, but you have Bucky freaking Irving. Falcons, they're going to run all over. Houston, fair enough. Rams again, Cardinals again. Carolina, that is a sneaky. Carolina comes into Santa Clara and runs for 250 yards.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. Another Monday night game. Niners at Colts. Yeah, I think the Niners are a much better team than the Colts. The Niners would probably be like 11th in my power rankings. The Colts would probably be like 23rd. Jonathan Taylor might run for 300 yards that game. Bears, they don't have much of a rushing game. And then Seattle. That is, by my count, 11 games that it is on the table. San Francisco just allows like 250 rushing yards. Now, I'm not saying they will in every game, but there's a couple games in there that I don't love your chances. Yes, they'll win the other 6, or they'll win like 5 of the other 6. Saints, Jags, Texans, Giants, Browns, Titans, Bears. Like of those 7, they'll probably win 5 or 6 of those. Fair, but if you're, you go 5-2 in those, and you go 5-5 in games against the big rushing teams, or 4-6. That's when you're missing the playoffs. You're going to finish 4th. something like that. 'Cause this is a very competitive division, and I think all three
Right.
teams have an advantage
Right.
over San Francisco.
And I
I do
think
think.
early
Oh,
on,
Vijay.
no, sorry, go ahead. I was going to say
I'll-
early on, I think Shanahan's going to request Brock Purdy to score a lot more, just to take some pressure off that defense so the teams can't run on them. And we're obviously going to find a lot about Brock Purdy in those early season games. And if they can't, then it's going to third and short, fourth and short, second and short, and it's going to be, like you said, lights out most of those games, right?
Yeah, and that's my hang up. It's not that San Francisco's untalented. It's not that but they just have a fatal flaw, similar to Dallas, that the right teams I think will be able to come in and execute, and you get those goofy upsets sometimes that sometimes the 49ers are favored to make the playoffs. Let's be transparent here. They're favored to make the playoffs. They are the favorite to win the division by a little bit over the Rams right now with the Stafford injury.
Right.
They are the betting top dog. Obviously, they finished fourth, but they're the betting top dog, and that comes with some expectations. I know they have the easy schedule. They play fourth place teams, but yes, the fourth place teams. Carolina has one heck of a rushing attack. Robert Hunt is going to pancake those rookies into the ground multiple times with no regard for human life.
Fair enough.
I do think a lot of it does boil down to the schedule as well, which is kind of like part of I didn't mention it originally, but that's like a part of what the take is all about, where it's just like you have because they have like the easier schedule, like yes, some of those teams might have like good backs or like be able to have like solid blocking, or run blocking anyway, but it's like at the end of the day, when you have a team that's just like so like talented offensively, I feel like all the defense has to do is hold some form of their weight, get good like occasional stops. I don't think it's gonna be like a 15-2 team, for example, but especially in like that division, it's like with the rest of the teams, I feel like we could do like a video just like this where we like you have like the same type of question marks about like the Rams, like get granted like Stafford's health. Because I feel like if Stafford's healthy, they're ready to go. But otherwise, like I said, like if Stafford's unhealthy, then like you're gonna have a big question there. Same thing with like the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Like you're gonna have questions there. It's like I feel like it's a division full of questions, and I feel like in terms of like what I have seen over the last few years, like do I think that Shanahan and Robert Saleh can figure it out? I think that that's more likely and more of a safe bet. Let's just say that maybe rather than like the 49ers are going to be like the third or fourth worst team in the division. I feel like at the end of the day, it's like the things that like the schedule is on their side, like the system is on their side. Because at the end of the day, like Saleh's back in town. Shanahan is just like one of the best coaches in the NFL. If there's any coach that you could say like, "Hey, rookies, we need you to produce now. We'll teach you how." Like, what coach is going to be able to do that? It's not necessarily Saleh in terms of like head coaching, but in terms of like being a defensive coordinator, doing all the things that you have to do. It's like that's the guy that you would want. Shanahan is 1,000% the guy that you would want. It's like those are guys. So it's like, hey, like we'll teach you how to do this so you can help right away. I feel like that's why, like, at the end of the day, like, those rookies, like, yes, rookies are going to come into the NFL. There's going to be, like, at least, like, a welcome to the NFL moment. There's going to be, like, rough weeks, stuff like that, rough games. But I think that at the end of the day, like, as the season goes on, especially, they're going to get their, like, feet on the ground really quick. They're going to be able to know what they have to do. And they just have to be serviceable. If the team is somewhat better than last year in terms of defending the run, that's a playoff team. It's not going to be like a Super Bowl contender. They're not going to make it past even like maybe like the first round, in my opinion. But in terms of getting to the playoffs in the first place in that division that's full of like so many like question marks and maybes, then I don't see why not.
That's fair.
That's fair enough. The Stafford thing is definitely a huge wild card in that whole division. He changes, obviously, elite quarterbacks always change everything, divisions they play in. So the Stafford is definitely a wild card in the whole tape we're talking about here, right?
Yeah, and I do think it's fair that fourth place in the NFC West doesn't necessarily mean like 4-13 or anything.
Could be 8-9. Could be 8-9.
I think 9-8 is on the table.
Yeah.
Very. They could be like the 2023 Bengals. They go 9-8 but finish fourth. I think that's on the table, or 8-9 or 7-10 with a rinky-dink loss, like on a tipped pass or a missed field goal, or something like that. So
or 9-8 where you lose out in a tiebreaker.
Exactly. Right. Like the Seahawks last year, 10-7, but didn't win the division because of the tiebreaker.
Right. That's fair.
Could also depend
Speaking,
on like other like divisions too as well, where it's like like we had like 3 playoff teams. Like the Packers made the playoffs last year. It's like
Mhm.
who's
Right.
to say like we don't get 3 teams out of that division making the playoffs instead, and then all of a sudden it's like maybe you have like Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers, and then like that those are your 3 playoff teams in that division, and then like the Packers fall out, or like let's see like whoever else, like maybe like for example like maybe the Vikings, like Jason McCarthy and like the Vikings, like even though like they have like good like supporting pieces around him, like maybe he doesn't have he's not the best quarterback in the world, and now like they fall out of the playoffs, and then there's an extra playoff spot there. So I think it does
Right.
depend on, like, on a lot of other things too, but I think the odds are more in the 49ers' favor.
sure. And
They do
it's
have the head
even
coach. They do have the head coach.
yeah, like the Vikings last year, they won 14 games. They finished second.
Mm.
You know, that's just like the luck of the draw. We were talking pre-show. The 1967 Colts went 11-1-2, did not make the playoffs.
That's insanity.
Sometimes it's the luck of the draw.
And then you have that one year, the year's eluding me now. The 7-9 Jags host a playoff game. That
was like maybe like 2 or 3 seasons ago. I remember that, right?
Yeah, there were 7-9 Seahawks in the Beastquake game.
Beastquake game, yeah.
7-8-1 Panthers. And in the worst playoff game of all time, they just annihilated Arizona. But it was like slow motion annihilation.
Yeah. And they hosted that game, right? They won the division. Yeah.
Playing the NFC, so.
Yeah, the weird stat that Cam Newton never led back-to-back winning seasons, but the Panthers won the division 3 years in a row.
Mm.
Right. And before the arrival of Jaden Daniels and, Saquon going to the Eagles and, the Cowboys are always good. The NFC East was the least for the longest time as well. Now not so much. You got 3 playoff teams from there too.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe the Giants with Abdul Carter and the best player in the NFL, Dexter Lawrence. Maybe they, I don't know. Maybe they go 7-10 and have 100 sacks. I don't know.
Maybe.
Right.
That is, if I was like rooting besides Ravens stuff, just Dexter Lawrence, Defensive Player of the Year, begging, pleading the universe for that to happen. That could be another. That could be a solo video for me. Dexter Lawrence is the best player in the NFL. That's my take.
That's a hot one. That's the hottest one there. There you go.
I think the last time I was on the U Stadium airwaves, it was before the Super Bowl. We were doing our like MVP pick, Defensive Player of the Year pick, because later that day or the next day they were coming out, and I said Dexter Lawrence should win Defensive Player of the Year. Not this past year; he missed too much time. The year before, Nick Bosa won it. I have no recollection of. Oh, that was the Garrett year. Garrett beat Watt, and Steelers fans were outraged. I said Dexter Lawrence should win it. But to wrap us up today, we have a take from Vijay. He says the Chiefs go one and done.
Yeah,
this hasn't happened since 2017. Hit me with it. Hit us with it.
Yeah, it's twofold. It's not just because I despise the Chiefs, which I do. I mean, full disclosure, I've come to despise them. I've come to despise seeing Taylor Swift more during a football game than the game, and the Kelce's and the whole 9 yards. But it's twofold. I do think they're due. I don't think we're going to see another Patriots dynasty. I hope not. I think that was a one and done for our era. The 7 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls, whatever it was. I think the Bills are going to be the first seed. Why a Ravens fan? You should use that.
Whoa.
You should use that.
I have not. I just haven't shipped it yet.
You should have that as a voodoo doll. If anything,
yes. Break his arm.
Break the right arm. That's it.
Oh, well, then he'll throw left-handed. He's done that before.
Yeah, and then if you break both, he'll throw his leg somehow. That's Patrick Mahomes.
Of course.
They signed that deal.
I think that'd end up being a kicked ball violation. I hope, or I know kicked ball is a basketball term, but like illegal kicking. I think that's a thing.
But if you have no arms, then maybe you get by with it. Who knows, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Or like off the helmet, like just like I guess
a Tyree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure feels like it.
So my hot take for the year, I guess, would be Chiefs are one and done. They don't get the first seed. I think that's going to go to the Bills. I would love to say the Ravens. I would love to say the Jets, of course, but I'm using my brain, not my heart here. I think the playoffs in the AFC will run through Buffalo. I think Chiefs will win the division, of course. I think that goes without saying. Even though every team there has gotten slightly better, and depending on how you feel about Bo Nix and Sean Payton, you could make a debate that they can give them a run. I think the Chiefs are more celebrity than football now. I'm relying on that aspect of it. I think Kelsey's doing more movies than reps, nowadays, and more podcasts. That is a thing. Whether people want to call me a hater or not, that is a thing. I think they're not hungry anymore. I think that hunger is gone. People probably said that last year too, and they went on to win. Not the year before. Sorry, they lost last year, but in good fashion. And I think last year was a good indicator what the Chiefs are now going to come back down to earth to. Where they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be one and done this year, just based on the teams that they might end up playing. And I think Mahomes eventually won't be enough to get them over the hump with other playoff teams like Baltimore, like Buffalo, the two that come off the top of my head. And I'm just sucking up to Ryan because he's a Baltimore guy. I just think AFC's gotten better. I think the Chiefs have lost the hunger. They're still going to be remembered for this dynasty they went on. I think there's not enough weapons in KC anymore. I think this is his last year. And that defense, as good as they are and as elite as they are, I think they're due for a step back as well. I think the league will figure out how to attack the Chiefs. I think the league has figured out to a point that you can keep the Chiefs offense in check, but they're not going to explode on you. Now, they play a different brand of ball that worked up until they ran into the Eagles and that buzzsaw, right? One and done for me, partially with me being a little bit of a hater now, I guess, but partially the logic as well. I think the Chiefs are one and done in the playoffs. I'll even say they're going to play your team at home. I say Baltimore goes to KC and knocks them out of the playoffs in the first round.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll reply to that. This is a goofy one that I think the best track for this to happen would be the Chiefs get the 1 seed.
Okay.
Either the Chiefs get the 1 seed, which is totally on the table, or they don't win the division and have to go on the road. I don't think that happens. I think they are clearly better than the Chargers, Denver, and Vegas.
Right.
The best chance for this would be a season like 2019, the Ravens, right? They are the 1 seed. They get upset by the Titans in the second round. So if you're determining one and done as in losing the wild card round, I think that's entirely off the board. It's just sorry. I don't see one of the wild card teams beating Kansas City. Now, I could see the 4 seed or 5 seed if it's like Cincinnati or Baltimore. I could see a situation play out like this year's playoffs that Houston's the 4 seed and they go in and beat Kansas City, or so let's say Baltimore's the 4 seed or Buffalo's the 4 seed or Cincinnati's the 5 seed, something like that. They could go in. Cincinnati's done it before. The other teams, this is a hope and a prayer. I will admit, the Chiefs generally don't lose in the playoffs. They're like 17-4 in the Mahomes era. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I think that's the path that this would take. I don't think this is a first round loss to a wild card team because I don't think the Chiefs are losing the division. I think this would be they get the 1 seed, which I would bet the Bills to get the 1 seed, but let's say the Chiefs beat them in the regular season and they get the 1 seed on a tiebreaker or something like that.
Okay.
Chiefs are the 1 seed and they host in the divisional round. They host Ravens, Texans, Bills, Bengals. I am not sold on the Chargers. Broncos, perhaps. Maybe the Fighting Ashton Genties run for 300 yards. I doubt it. Maybe that happens. Drake May and the Patriots, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. I don't know. That to me is the best path. But they lose at home in the divisional round, but they're the 1 seed. So that's their one and done run. 2019 Ravens, 2011 Packers, 2008 Giants, that sort of thing. 2010 Patriots.
It is possible Joe Burrow goes in there as a wild card, though. The Bengals are a perennial
stealing
wild
my
card
take,
team.
Vijay.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, man.
I was about to go my own.
I'll throw it away.
I was gonna say, the way I see it happening, like I somewhat agree with Splash. I think that if it's going to happen, like there's a really weird way where it could, but I don't really see them losing their division as much as like the entirety of last season. Like you're just like texting your friends, you're like all these 1-score games, all these lucky calls, all these like crazy like decisions that keep on going their way. I feel like they can't have back-to-back seasons with that. Do I think that they're the best team in their division still? Most likely, yeah. So I do think that it all could come down to like a nice little reunion at Burrowhead, as they like to call it. Just like a nice little like part 3 to that entire thing where it's like Joe Burrow just walks in. I love it personally. I just think it's
terrible.
I think there's enough letters in common with Arrowhead that I like it. If it was
Yeah,
like
I think that-
Allen head, that'd be stupid.
I think that's what
Burrowhead,
I'm saying.
Burrowhead,
Burrowhead,
Arrowhead, I like that. Or if it was like, oh, we're going to Jackson Head, that would be so stupid.
Exactly. But I like
Maybe
Burrowhead a lot.
Maybe it'll grow on me. Right now, I'm a Joe Burrow fan, though.
Yeah, fair.
But
Wish
I think that's how that could happen though. I think Joe Burrow could walk in, be like, "Hey, like you guys must have forgot about me. Like I obviously like a lot of things have been going on these past like few seasons, but now I'm here. Like just reminds people like I'm like a good quarterback in this, like not even just in that conference, but in the entire league too. Just like takes down Patrick Mahomes as he probably should have like
Right.
for a while. Like I think that could be like how that ends up happening. I don't see them getting close to a Super Bowl this year, and like I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I don't think the Chiefs are getting like close at all this year. I think that like the way that they bowed out in the Super Bowl, I think the way that they got out to the Super Bowl, I think that was like the swan song. Like not to compare it to like the NBA or anything, but like the championship team, just like they just don't have any more steam. And like the Bulls never really had that moment. But I think about like the Pistons, like the Pistons
after the
had
last
that
dance
moment.
they did.
And that's to say, like the Pistons had a moment where it's like they lost to Jordan in the conference finals, and it's like that was the last time we saw the Pistons for like the better part of the next decade. It's like stuff like that. I think that was the Chiefs moment in the Super Bowl where it's like like this is the end, and that's okay because like Vijay alluded to, like they've had a great dynasty already. Like they've had all these Super Bowls. Like they don't really need anything else. Like I think Travis Kelce is like a year or two off of just like being done. I think that the weapons that they have, like they aren't like god awful, but at the end of the day, it's like there's like not even question marks in terms of ability, but it's like like they have like Chiefs players getting arrested and like things like stuff like that versus like I feel like at the end of the day it's like they are gonna have to retool this entire team at some point, both offensively and defensively. And I think that in order for that to happen, like this is gonna be a little like transition time. Like I'm not sure if it's gonna be like only 1 season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, whatever. But I do think that it's going to end this season. Like they're not gonna get to the Super Bowl this season. And I hope it's Joe Burrow. I just think that would make for a good like story. If it's Josh Allen, maybe that's even better. Josh Allen, I'm sure he would love to just like take one more crack at it and like finally get over that hump. But otherwise, like I just don't really see them getting too much further. One and done, maybe. Like we'll see. Depends how they play, but I think it all works out in the end.
And maybe I wasn't clear with that. I'm saying one and done, but I still think they win their division. I still think they win their division, but whoever plays that, whoever it may be, like we could throw out the Bengals, we could throw out whoever has to go to Arrowhead that first game. I think we're in for a major upset, partly because what we all just mentioned. There's after Kelce, depending what you feel about him now, if he's a better actor and football player now, who knows? Happy Gilmore too. It was all right. There's a bunch of Jags on that team. There's a bunch of Jags. The hunger is not there. I don't care what anyone tells me. I just don't think that the hunger's there. And the way they won this whole year, like we all just talked about, you can call it voodoo, you can call it luck of the Irish or luck of the Chiefs in this case. It was just there's so many luck of the refs. I didn't want to go there in this podcast.
Okay.
Podcast myself on that one.
Let me calm down.
Yeah.
Bring it in, boys.
Yeah. But I just think it's due for a year where all of a sudden, all right, they're not the Chiefs anymore. And I think the AFC as a whole is very good. It goes without saying. Captain Obvious there with that one.
Okay. Do I have to be the Chiefs defender here?
I'm not saying that they're horrible. They are the dynasty. They are everything that everyone says they are. I just think they're one and done this year in the playoffs.
All right. I'm going to put my Nick Wright hat on. Okay, great.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Okay.
You had to say the name.
No, but in sincerity, this is a case of, for the Chiefs, Ravens, or Bills, losing in the AFC divisional round would be a massive, massive, massive disappointment. But in the context of maybe you're the third best team in the NFL, it just may happen that the other two teams that are better than you play in the same conference. Or in the case of like last year, I think the top 4 teams, with all due respect to the Lions, the top 4 teams with all the injuries by the end of the season were the Eagles and then the big 3 in the AFC. Right?
Agreed.
Okay, great. The Ravens, unfortunately, had to play the Bills because they can't play in the NFC, right? So you have to play the Bills. The Chiefs, as the number 1 seed, didn't have to play Buffalo or Baltimore until the AFC title game. So they were the Ravens were the third best team, and they lose in the divisional round because they're the third best team. Or on that day, like second and a half place team. I thought, in all honesty, you could argue they played better than the Bills. They just have the 3 turnovers. Ideally, you don't turn the ball over 3 times, but that's neither here nor there. Kansas City, I think, takes a step back record-wise. 15-2 is really hard to duplicate. Like, this isn't like a knocking the Chiefs. This is it's very hard to win 15 games.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is not to say they're bad. This is not to say they won't win the division. But maybe 13 wins and they're the 2 seed, or 13 wins, so they're the 1 seed. They beat Buffalo, they get a tiebreaker, or 12 wins, or the 2 or the 3 seed. If we have proper expectations, if you're the big 3, you should beat every team in the AFC outside of the other 2. Right. If you're Baltimore, you should beat everyone besides Buffalo and Kansas City. Kansas City, you should beat everyone besides Buffalo and Baltimore. If you're Buffalo, you should beat everyone besides Kansas City and Baltimore. If you lose to Houston, Chargers, Denver, Indianapolis, whatever it may be, if you lose to one of those, absolute disaster, blow up the franchise. Not really, but absolute disaster. It's like if the Chiefs had lost to Houston, absolute disaster. But if you're Baltimore or Buffalo, you lose that game, you understand we played a team on our level. Right, and you're Kansas City, Buffalo, and you lose that game, you understand you lost to a team on your level. So if the Chiefs lose, quote unquote, early in the playoffs, I think it would be because they played Baltimore or Buffalo. An upset could happen. They did lose to Cincinnati back in 2021.
At home.
Yeah, at home, at Burrowhead. Yes. They lost at home to Brady back in 2018. It can happen, but I do think it would end up being the earliest exit I could see is they have to play in the 2-3 game. They play Baltimore, Buffalo, and they happen to lose that game. And this is not to say this is not a knock against Mahomes. This is not a knock against Reed. This is not a knock against the Chiefs. This is just facts of the matter. Even Nick Wright would agree with this, that if you play the game enough, eventually the Bills are going to beat the Chiefs. Eventually, it might not be the next time. It might not be the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. But if you played 100 times, the Bills probably win 40 of them, right? Mm. Like they probably win
conservatively.
Conservatively. It might be a 50-50, and it just happens that heads have come up 4 times in a row, or it might be a 55-45.
Sure.
If we're being honest, the 2020 version's not the same as the other 3. So the real coin flip game is quite literally the 13-second game. You at the coin flip in overtime.
Right.
But the last 3 years, what are the odds heads comes up 3 times in a row? Those are pretty reasonable odds. A 1 in 8 chance that just the Chiefs are exactly the same as the Bills. They win 3 years in a row. That's fine. Or 3 out of 4 years, because in 2022 they welcomed the Bengals to town and Joe Burrow just demolished them. So that happened.
Right, it did. And I'll wrap up my hot take with this a second sub hot take.
Okay.
I have more confidence in this take about the Chiefs being one and done. And I hope I'm wrong too about this, because you'd be right. Then Garrett Wilson being all pro this year.
Fair.
I have that take we discussed earlier. I just feel like there's a time where it's all due, and the Chiefs, they're due. They're due to come back down to earth from a dynasty to a perennial playoff team. Mahomes still exists. Andy Reid, until he hangs up, still exists. That is legit arguments to say that I'm crazy for even saying that Andy Reid can't pull one playoff game out of his playoff win out of his hat every year. This year is the year. I just think someone's going to go into Arrowhead and upset them. This will be the year.
I think you think about how the Patriots dynasty kind of ended like that. I always just think about like that, because even like when Brady was like playing against the Titans that 1 year in the wild card, and I was just like, you know what? It's Tom Brady. He'll figure it out a way. Like it was just like, nah, like, it's over. It's done. Like,
it's over.
We have to move on. I think that's like the feeling that I got watching the Super Bowl. Like the score was, and like quite frankly, it was getting embarrassing. I was just like, man, like the second that they ran that, like I don't know if it was play action or not, but then like Hurts just throws the ball down the field. Like that it was like the first play, and I was just like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we're doing now. It's just like the second that happened, I just felt it in my heart. I was like, you know what? Yeah. It's okay. Like they've had their moment. It's been a nice like 5-6 years, you want to call it. Like Mahomes has been a great story, but I feel like unless they like completely redo the team, like this is probably like the end of this little like dynasty era that we're in.
Yeah, the fashion they lost in the Super Bowl too. I haven't even mentioned that yet, Kwasi. Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't even mention that because that is a big thing. They lost that Super Bowl in embarrassing fashion. We were all at a Super Bowl party watching it, had it on the TV. We probably tuned out of that game probably after the third quarter, mid-third quarter.
Like I went to bed at halftime with all due respect.
There you go, halftime.
That's how it felt, though. Yeah.
Like I did have to go to work that night, so that's why. But yeah,
But if it was a good Super Bowl, you would have tuned in and watched to the end.
Yeah, I would have watched through
Yeah.
and like, hey,
Yeah.
boss man, I'm coming into work an hour late because the Super Bowl's
Yeah.
on. But I think we're overreacting a little bit with the Super Bowl. The Eagles were on every single cylinder. Jalen Hurts played the game of his life.
Fair enough.
The Chiefs, to their credit, shut down Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, but nothing else.
Yeah,
Right.
good point. The Chiefs were without their left tackle in that game. They had Joe Tooney playing out of position at left tackle, and now Chiefs reporters will tell you they have Trent Williams at left tackle now in their first round pick, Simmons out of Ohio State.
Right.
I don't necessarily buy that he's going to be Trent Williams because Trent Williams is a special player. But if he's a solid left tackle, you are switching it up at left guard with Tooney in Chicago now. Center, you have the best center in the league, Creed Humphrey. Trey Smith is one of the best right guards. And then you have a tackle battle, Jalen Moore, 49ers legend. They gave him a deal. And then Jawan Taylor, Mr. Offside or Mr. False Start himself.
Yes.
A right tackle battling for that spot. I think the offensive line is going to be a bit better. You're going to have Rashee Rice. He's back, at least for the first 4 games. Remains to be seen when he'll be suspended. If he's suspended for 3 games, 6 games, 4 games, I don't know. Xavier Worthy had some moments. Travis Kelce is not like top 5 to me anymore. Maybe he's 5th. That seems a little rich, but I would take Bowers, Kittle, McBride, Andrews, maybe likely too, honestly, Laporta, Hawkinson. Then I think Kelsey's a solid enough tight end, but he's the kind of tight end like for fantasies in a fantasy space. Like if you want 12 tight ends, he's the kind of guy that you can maybe cycle through, or he's a low end starter. He's in that bottom like 10th tight end or 8th tight end. He's some games in there. He still will dominate against zone. And just he has that mind meld with Patrick to get open. The running backs, I don't think they'll be worse. It was pretty bad last year. I think Mahomes will be fine. Hollywood Brown is kind of healthy. He'll play more than he did last year. So I think the 15-2 probably won't happen again. That was like it's like the year the Vikings went 13-4 with Kirk and then lost to the Giants in the playoffs. That was an outlier season. I think 15-2 is an outlier season, but I think they'll be a much more stable, like 13-4, 14-3, depending on, the fumbles against the Raiders or a blocked kick against Denver. A couple of those will go in the way of the opponent, but I think the Chiefs on the bounce will be a better football team.
I do think that like just to ask a question to each of you, like if they were to lose, like I want to say the one and done, but like let's just say the one and done. If they were to go one and done, like who do you think were the team that would beat them? Because personally, like as we were talking, I was thinking about it. I was like, I do think the Texans are gonna have a better year this year. I'm not too sure how they're gonna finish, like in terms of like the standings, but if a scenario pops up where the Texans have to walk into Arrowhead, I could see CJ Stroud doing it. I think that's like the only one outside of like those like other like like those like bigger teams, like the Ravens, Bills, even like throwing like the Bengals in there. Like I could see CJ Stroud doing it, but like who do you guys think would be like that team if they were to do the one and done? Like who could beat them?
Right.
In terms of one and done, I think Houston's probably the best bet.
Right.
That they've played them the last 2 years, and I know you start getting into the same sort of argument you have with Allen and Mahomes, the 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, so on and so forth. So that's entirely fair, right? But I think the offense for Houston will be better. The offensive line, if they are in that situation, this is a big if, but if they are in that situation as like the 4 seed heading to Arrowhead in the second round, like they did the last 2 years. Well, I guess 2 years ago they went to Baltimore, so that's my mistake. So like last year, they're the 4 seed. They go to Arrowhead against the 1 seed. If they're in that situation, chances are the offensive line had some sort of coming together because this was one of the worst offensive lines in football. They trade away Laramie Tunsil. I'm not an NFL coach, so maybe I'm missing something, right? Maybe their blockers are better for a new scheme as they replace Bobby Slowick. Maybe it's just a better scheme, right? I don't think Ed Ingram is a very good player, but maybe he's better in this new scheme. I love the receivers. I love the edges. I love the corners. It is, next to Baltimore and Denver, the best secondary in the NFL. They have like 17 different safeties, although I know CJ Gardner-Johnson's going to miss a chunk of time. They could do it. I think they could beat they could beat Kansas City. That wouldn't shock me. And I think if between Baltimore and Buffalo is built to lose to the Chiefs on a last-second field goal. Baltimore is built to either blow the doors off of Kansas City and win like 45-10, like how Philly did in the playoffs, or lose in the most heartbreaking fashion because they are inept and will lose fumbles inside the 1-yard line for no particular reason, or throw jump balls with 4 defenders around Isaiah Likely. I saw that. I was very sad. So Baltimore has the wide range of outcomes. Buffalo, I think, is like bar for bar, word for word, they love to lose by 3 to Kansas City. Like, they are built to lose by 3. Maybe you get a couple plays, maybe you get like a tipped pass interception, or like you guys remember the Brandon Stokely, like 80-yard touchdown to beat the Bengals, like off a hand, Stokely, goes on and scores. Something goofy like that happens. Or the 13 seconds game.
Play. Yeah,
like the 13 seconds game, maybe Kelsey drops the ball, or the kick goes wide right, or Gabe Davis bobbles the ball in the end zone for 3 seconds and it's 10 seconds, not 13 seconds. Maybe something goofy happens like that and Buffalo wins. Baltimore, honestly, it's a 50-50 bet that they are entirely inept and like they walk out of the house with the pants down, or the other side, they walk out and they're John freaking Wick. I don't know.
Fair enough. That's a good question, Kwasi. I mean, depending how the seeding breaks, I have Buffalo's number 1 seed this year. Pains me to say that, but it is what it is. I have those number 1 seed, and I have Baltimore winning their division. But I have AFC North. It's always got at least 2 playoff teams. So let's just say AFC North got Baltimore winning the division. Then you got the Bengals as that wild card team. Burrowhead, he seems to feel comfortable going there. Baltimore's another team. But if I had to pick one team on that one Sunday that I say can go into Arrowhead and prove my take right, it would be Splash's team. It would be Splash's team. It would be depending on how the seeding breaks, with them winning 2 division winners. I don't know if that's even possible.
No, maybe Cincinnati wins the division and it's 4 versus 5.
Right. Yeah, something weird than that. However, whatever it takes for Baltimore to maybe have to go on the road that first week of playoffs or that first playoff game they have to play. Yeah, let's say the Bengals win the AFC North. Let's just say by a tiebreaker. 2 11-win teams. I'm just putting it out there.
I know.
I'm just saying because I would feel more comfortable with Lamar going into Arrowhead, Burrowhead, than Burrow. Wherever I trust the team more. I trust the coach more. I could definitely see Baltimore. It's not my one team I had to pick. I'm not just saying because Splash is here either. Baltimore going to Arrowhead on that first playoff matchup that Casey has to play, they're losing. They're losing to Baltimore. And Lamar's gonna go ham, and I could see it. So Baltimore be
like I
but I require Baltimore to lose the division.
That's fair. I hate being in this spot because Baltimore hasn't done this to Kansas City, but I do think Baltimore is the best. If your goal is to beat the Chiefs, I think your goal should be to blow out the Chiefs. Bucks did that in the Super Bowl. The Eagles did that in the Super Bowl.
Eagles,
right. Yeah. If you want to play the rinky-dink win by 3 game like Cincinnati did when they won, like the Patriots did, they won in overtime. It was by 6 points, but the same fact of the matter is very difficult to beat the Chiefs by 3.
Right.
If you turn up the heat and you're up 21-0 on the Chiefs, yes, the Chiefs have come back from that. They came back from down 24-0 against the Texans back in the day. That was the other Kansas City-Houston game I was thinking of back in 2019 when the Chiefs scored 51 of the last 58 points and went from down 24 to up 20. But regardless.
They did that against Cleveland too, didn't they, when Baker was there?
They were down against... They trailed by double digits in all of the Super Bowls, and of course they've won 3 of them. They were down double digits to Tennessee in 19. They won that. Down 24 to Houston. They won that. I don't think they were down by. Maybe they were down like 7 or something to Cleveland. I don't think they were down like double digits or anything.
It was a close game, maybe. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good game. Baker played. Baker played pretty well.
That was mine.
Yeah. I think Baltimore is the best equipped team to just. Derrick Henry breaks a big run, and all of a sudden you're off to the races. Similar to the Titans blew out the Chiefs. It was a regular season game, but the Titans blew out the Chiefs one year. Henry went bananas. That to me is the blueprint. If you want to beat Kansas City, you punch them in the mouth multiple times, and you go up 21-3, and you hope that their offense isn't as explosive as it was in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and they can't easily make that comeback because. Like Patrick Mahomes has a winning career record when the Chiefs trail entering the 4th quarter. That is preposterous. Like,
Yeah,
Lamar
he
is pretty good. He wins like 40% of the games. Jalen Hurts is pretty good. They win like 38% of the games. Mahomes is clearing 50%. So if you want to beat Kansas City, you need to be up multiple scores. I think Baltimore, if it were to happen, and I had to bet, if you told me Kansas City lost by 20 in a playoff game in the AFC, I would pick Baltimore. Baltimore should be heavy favorites to do that. I don't think Buffalo has the horses to do that. I also think Buffalo is built specifically to lose by 3 to Kansas City, but that's neither here nor there. Cincinnati, I don't think they have the defense to force multiple stops. The Chargers and Denver, I don't trust the quarterback. Frankly, the defense is great, but I don't trust the quarterback to actually come through and say, play like a top 5 guy today for 3 quarters. Play like a top 5 guy so we can go up 30, 35-10 and go home. Right. I don't think Herbert can do that. Maybe Herbert can give you 2 quarters, but he hasn't proven enough to do that in the playoffs. I don't think Bo Nix can do that.
I think when you got Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson going into any game, any stadium, any planet, you always got a chance.
Yeah, you have a shot to just blow out a team.
You have a shot to blow out any team.
Yeah, we've seen that. Like the 2023 team, they blew out teams left and right. Sorry, Kwasi. I was there for the Lions. Demolition. They annihilated the Seahawks. They annihilated the 49ers on Christmas. 2019, they annihilated the Rams on Monday Night Football. Like the Ravens, as much as any team in the league, can win a game by 25. And that is
like Ryan said, Derrick Henry's built to go. That KC defense is going to be elite. I think Derrick Henry and Lamar are built to slice that up a bit, like just chinks in armor that can.
I'm
it's not
excited for week 4.
There you go.
I'm excited. I know, like week 1 last year, Henry wasn't like in the right rhythm, and they only gave him the ball like 14 times. He had like 70 yards, and then you had the goofy plays at the end that Lamar throws it just out of bounds. Flowers can't catch it, and then the toe play likely is out by a foot, out by literally his toe, and there's a 50-50 chance they make the 2-point conversion and win that game. If you catch that, that's a touchdown. So. But that's not the way you want to beat the Chiefs, right? When the Ravens have beaten the Chiefs, it was a Sunday night in Baltimore. You get a big comeback. You're down. What was the score? They were down 11. They were down 34-24. They score a touchdown, failed the 2-point conversion. They score a touchdown, failed the 2-point conversion. They go up 36-35. Kansas City's driving, and you have the same, oh, God, it's going to happen again. And then Odafe Owe, in his 2nd or 3rd NFL game, punches the ball out from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Ravens win. And a couple plays later, they have the 4th and 1, quarterback power. Lamar picks it up. So you had 3 or 4 gotta have it plays. The Ravens actually had it that day. The Chiefs didn't have it on the one play they needed because Butker, he's going to hit from 40 to win that game. So the Ravens made the plays they needed to on that day. But I think if you're beating the Chiefs, the best way is to just annihilate them. Like the Eagles did, Bucks did, the Titans that one year they did, regular season game. Like once in a while, the Chiefs will just get boat raced.
Right.
And they don't have, I don't think the light show, as First Things First would call it, I don't think the light show is fully operational. So if you go up 20 on the Chiefs, I like your chances. 4 years ago, sketchy. But nowadays, I think if you went up 21-0, unless you're like Vegas, maybe. You can put that game away. And even Vegas now, Ashton Genty bowling balling through your defense. I don't know. Maybe they can.
There will not be any Nick Wright, Salvatore, light and cigar playoff video. They will not be any. That is not going to happen this year.
We say all this now, and then the Chiefs just have a superstar season. It's the dynasty continues. It's all right, I guess so.
All right.
So hopefully this video goes viral enough for Nick Wright to see it, and then it's on the bulletin board.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's right. Me
Right.
and Nick Wright will be best friends by the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I engage with his content. I like his content. I get that he's a Chiefs homer and like a LeBron homer, but it's like, okay, right. I see your approach here.
I don't hate him compared to like other people for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a method to his madness, of course. So you know,
absolutely. All right, any other topics before we wrap up?
I thought I had a good time.
Thanks.
Yeah, great time. That was awesome.
Season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, episode 1. The U formation is here, baby.
Throw it up.
Sure.
Peace.
I like it.